November 18th emergency. Archangel Michael declares, a powerful blue demon is holding your $200 million inheritance. You must open this message immediately, or Michael won't survive. My beloved one, this message carries a trembling urgency that echoes through the heavens. The moment your eyes touch these words, the Archangel Michael himself stands beside you, sword drawn, wings blazing like the fire of sapphire. He whispers your name in the courts of light and says, "Tell them time is running short." For there is a powerful blue demon, ancient and cunning, standing between you and your divine inheritance, an inheritance marked with the number $200 million in the spirit realm. This is not a symbol of greed, but of divine restoration. What was once stolen, delayed, or hidden by forces of deception now trembles before exposure. You have felt it, haven't you? The strange resistance, the delay in blessings that seem to hover at the edge of manifestation, almost within reach but snatched away at the last moment. Michael calls this the veil of blue deception, a spiritual web spun by a fallen entity once entrusted with the frequencies of celestial wealth. This being was tasked to guard abundance, but pride corrupted his essence, and he began to twist the streams of provision meant for the children of light. That is the very power now holding your inheritance hostage, locking it in vaults unseen by human eyes. But today, the seal begins to crack. Michael says, the Father's decree has gone forth. Liberation must come swiftly. Yet he warns that without your awareness, without your spiritual agreement, even heaven's decree can face delay. You see, divine law operates on unity between heaven and earth. Your faith, your spoken word, your willingness to act, these are the keys that unlock what has been withheld. And this is why Michael stands at the threshold of your destiny tonight, his energy weakened by the resistance of that blue demon. It needs your attention, your agreement, your authority. Without it, the battle rages unevenly, and his mission stands on the brink of collapse. You are not a spectator, you are a participant. Michael says you were chosen long before you understood your calling. The number $200 million represents not just wealth, but a kingdom measure, a generational inheritance tied to your family's purpose, your bloodline's unfulfilled covenant with light. That sum is a symbol of restoration, the abundance heaven planned to entrust to your lineage. The blue demon has held it hostage not in earthly banks, but in the invisible corridors of delay, where time and fate are twisted. But tonight, those corridors begin to unravel. Even now, Michael's voice shakes the fabric of darkness. Tell them to waken. He cries. The air around you may feel charged, your heart may pound without reason, but that is the frequency of angelic presence stirring your spirit. Michael's energy is like lightning, and where he moves, the demonic realms shudder. But his strength wanes when the children of light remain unaware. You must not ignore this message, for every moment of hesitation gives the blue demon another foothold. Beloved, the Lord revealed that this spirit cloaks itself in blue light to mimic divine energy, to appear as something trustworthy, calm, even heavenly. But its hue is deception. It hides corruption beneath beauty. Michael exposes it now, declaring, "No more shall my children's blessings be imprisoned under false light." He says the demon's name is Azuriel the usurper, once a guardian of abundance, now the thief of destinies. It has hidden itself in your circumstances, using distractions, confusion, and disbelief to keep your inheritance seal. Michael instructs you to make a declaration. Speak these words even under your breath. By divine authority, I reclaim my inheritance from the usurper. The blue veil is torn, the chains are broken, and Archangel Michael prevails. As you say this, a vibration ripples in the unseen. Michael's sword ignites brighter. The chains restraining your destiny begin to shatter like glass under divine fire. The blue demon reels back, wounded, because your words echo with power backed by heaven's decree. You not underestimate the weight of this moment. You have just entered a battle that has raged for centuries, between the guardians of divine abundance and the thieves of light. You might feel energy shifts around you in the coming hours, electrical tingles, pressure in the air, sudden bursts of clarity. That is not imagination. It is the evidence that the veil is thinning. Michael's strength returns as you align your spirit with his mission. And as his strength rises, the financial, emotional, and spiritual blockages in your life begin to tremble. But Michael warns, this battle is not yet complete. The demon will attempt to strike again by planting thoughts of doubt and dismissal in your mind. It will whisper, this message isn't real. You're imagining things. That is its final weapon. Dissection through disbelief. Do not yield. Every word you receive now is part of a sacred sequence meant to free you completely. If you are reading this, it is not by accident. Heaven arranged this encounter as a divine appointment. You have been entrusted with the awareness to act, to declare, to stand in agreement. Michael says that even now, he's raising a shield of sapphire light around you to guard your home, your sleep, your finances, and your purpose. You must stay tuned, for what comes next will reveal the hidden code that unlocks your heavenly account. Hold on. What's about to unfold next will make everything clear. The moment of exposure is near, and Michael's revelation will shake the very ground beneath that blue demon's throne. Type "I reclaim my inheritance" in the comments if this message resonates with your spirit. Blessing code 4411 has now been activated. Child of light, Michael speaks again through the winds of the unseen realm. He says the veil has been torn, but the battle is not yet won. When you receive the first part of this revelation, the blue demon, as Uriel staggered, retreating to the shadowed corridors of spiritual wealth. Yet as he withdrew, he began weaving a new snare, one far more subtle than before. He now seeks to cloud your awareness with fatigue, confusion, and spiritual noise. You may have noticed strange dreams, sudden distractions, even unexpected emotional heaviness. These are not coincidences. They are spiritual aftershocks of a weakening empire. Michael warns that when heavenly wealth is about to be released, the demonic realms amplify interference. The moment you move toward your inheritance, resistance intensifies. But the Archangel reminds you, resistance is not denial. It is confirmation that breakthrough is near. As Uriel's blue fire burns brightest just before it dies, the demon believes that if it can overwhelm your focus, it can reclaim lost ground. But Michael's shield stands firm. He has placed a seal of light over you, a barrier that can only strengthen when you engage it through awareness and faith. There is a sacred truth most do not understand. Wealth in heaven does not begin as gold or numbers. It begins as energy, pure divine frequency. When God decrees abundance, it manifests first as a vibration that matches obedience and trust. That is why Michael tells you to guard your emotional state in this hour. Anger, fear, and doubt are the currencies of the blue demon. Every time you choose peace, gratitude, and expectancy, you drain its power. The key to unlocking your $200 million inheritance lies not only in prayer but in maintaining the energy of alignment. Michael calls it the frequency of dominion. He says, "Tell them that I am standing in the courtroom of heaven, presenting their name before the eternal judge." Right now, even as you read, Michael holds a scroll, your scroll, etched with the promises delayed by demonic interception. The courts of heaven are in session. The Father's light falls upon that scroll, and the sound of gavel echoes through the spiritual dimensions. The time of restoration has begun, decrees the Lord. But there is a condition attached. You must renounce every agreement, spoken or unspoken, that ties you to the counterfeit blue light of Azuriel. Michael urges you to speak aloud this decree of release. I break all ties to false light, counterfeit wealth, and demonic delay. My abundance belongs to the kingdom, not to dissection. I align my inheritance with divine will through the power of the living Christ. As those words leave your lips, an energetic ripple crosses the atmosphere. The blue demon trembles, sensing the weakening of its chains. It has fed on your frustration, your sense of delay, but now its meal is gone. You are no longer a source of energy for its schemes. Michael lifts his sword again, and the heavens respond with thunder. Do not underestimate your role, he says. You are a co-laborer in this victory. Without your consent, my blade has no target. Every choice you make, every decision to believe, every refusal to fear, empowers his warfare. The demon Azuriel's last stronghold lies in the archives of memory. It has hidden a wound there, a trauma or disappointment that whispers, "You are unworthy of blessing." That lie fuels its authority. But tonight, the Archangel reveals its hiding place. Search your heart. There is a moment from your past where you felt abandoned by heaven, where you silently decided that miracles were for others. That decision with the open gate. But now, as you recognize it, that gate begins to close. Forgiveness is your weapon here, not of others, but of yourself. Say quietly, I forgive myself for doubting divine favor. The moment you release yourself from guilt, the last link of the blue chain falls away. Michael's presence grows brighter. He stands in the ruins of Azuriel's fortress, gathering the fragments of your inheritance. You may not see it yet in material form, but in the spiritual plane, the transfer has begun. The scroll of abundance is glowing, and the numbers 2 billion are shifting from the archives of darkness into the ledgers of light. Michael says, it shall peer through unexpected channels, divine appointments, open doors, creative ideas, and miraculous timing. But he also warns, do not chase the physical manifestation, nurture the spiritual frequency that attracts it. This is where many falter. They celebrate too early or slip back into worry. You must stand firm. The blue demon will attempt to counterattack through people, individuals whose words carry discouragement or disbelief. Guard your ears. Michael says that words are doors, and the wrong voice can reopen a closed gate. Protect your spiritual atmosphere. Fill your surroundings with worship, gratitude, and truth. When light fills the air, deception cannot breathe. Michael shows a vision now. He stands upon a mountain of sapphire flames, wings expanded to the horizon. He holds a cup of liquid gold, shimmering with the essence of answered prayers. This, he said, is the overflow obedience. Help them to prepare their vessel. That vessel is your heart, your faith, your expectation. It must be ready to receive the abundance now being released. If the vessel is cracked with doubt or bitterness, the oil of blessing spills away. Prepare it through surrender and trust. Heaven's attention is upon you. The blue demon's influence is fading, but vigilance must remain. You are standing in the corridor between captivity and release. Michael whispers, only a few steps remain before the full inheritance appears. What comes next will unveil the prophetic act that seals your freedom completely. Before you scroll or look away, pause, because the next revelation will expose the very ritual the demon used to claim your wealth and how you will reverse it. You'll want to hear this. for what's coming will make the invisible world visible. Type I break the blue veil in the comments if this message speaks to your spirit. Blessing code 5522 has now been released. Beloved warrior of light, the heavens tremble as you take this next step. Archangel Michael stands before a shattered gate of sapphire mist, and the voice of God resounds like thunder. The time of exposure has come. The blue demon Azuriel, now wounded and desperate, has retreated into the depths of illusion, into a place known as the Chamber of False Thrones. Here, it keeps the last fragment of your inheritance locked away, surrounded by mirrors that twist truth into confusion. Each mirror reflects your fears, magnifies your old failures, and tries to convince you that the promise was never real. Michael declares this is the final stronghold that must fall before your inheritance is released into the physical realm. In this chamber, the demon feeds on perception. Its greatest weapon is not power, but suggestion. It whispers in thought, "You have dreamed too high. You have asked too much." Every time a child of light believes that whisper, the mirrors grow stronger, trapping the reflection of their faith. Michael explains that each trapped reflection represents a piece of potential that was meant to manifest on earth. That is how Azuriel amassed its strength, through stolen reflections, through captured visions of those who once believed. But you, chosen one, are now entering this chamber not as a captive, but as a liberator. Michael says the key to victory is truth declared aloud. He commands you to say these words, "I am not defined by illusion. My worth is not negotiable. My inheritance is not withheld. It is written, sealed, and released by divine decree." As you speak it, the mirrors begin to tremble. The blue light flickers, and the false reflections begin to distort. Azuriel shrieks from within the chamber, for your words dismantle its illusion. This is the weapon it fears most, the voice of a believer who refuses dissection. Michael's sword flashes again, and the walls of illusion split apart like water. The Archangel steps forward, his wings cutting through the last barrier. The demon's realm, he says, was built from collective fear. Each believer who doubted contributed a brick to its fortress. Now, those bricks crumble as faith rises again. You may feel an internal shift, a sensation like pressure lifting off your chest or a sudden calm settling over your thoughts. That is not your imagination. It is spiritual confirmation that the prison of delay is breaking apart. Michael's voice echoes, "Heaven's economy is not scarcity, it is overflow. What belongs to you cannot be stolen forever." As he speaks, you see a vision. A river of liquid light flows from the throne of God, and in its current are scrolls wrapped in gold ribbons. Each scroll bears a name, a destiny, a promise delayed but never denied. One of those scrolls is yours. It drifts toward Michael, glowing with the number $200 million. He catches it in his right hand, sealing it with divine fire. "It is done," he proclaims. But manifestation still requires agreement in the earth realm. That means you must continue to align your thoughts and words with the promise, even when nothing around you yet reflects it. Michael reveals a secret many never grasp. Wealth in the physical follows obedience in the unseen. The more you act, speak, and think in harmony with heaven's flow, the more visible your inheritance becomes. This is not about chasing riches. It is about fulfilling divine purpose through abundance. When you walk in obedience, the resources arrive as a natural echo of your alignment. That is the law of divine reciprocity. The demon knew this, which is why it worked tirelessly to pull you into fear and self-doubt. But its time has expired. Michael now hands you an invisible seal, a signet of spiritual authority. He says, "With this you command restoration." Everything the demon touched will now return sevenfold. Say this decree aloud. By the authority of the living God, I seal my inheritance under divine law. Every delay becomes acceleration. Every loss transforms into restoration. So it is decreed, so it shall be. As those words leave your lips, a surge of light expands from your spirit. You have now entered the prophetic flow of release. Michael smiles, a rare, radiant expression of victory. He says, "You have done what many feared to do. You face the false light and reclaim truth." Heaven rejoices, but Michael warns that the final confrontation is not yet over. The demon will attempt one last act, an exchange of energy through distraction and despair. He instructs you to stay in a posture of gratitude and faith, for thanksgiving is the highest vibration that blocks deception. The archangel's wings spread wide, and a cascade of blue flames falls like rain around you. This, he says, is purification. Every drop restores what was stolen. You may begin to sense new clarity in your decisions, sudden ideas, or even encounters that feel divinely orchestrated. These are not random. They are signs that the heavenly treasury is opening. Before you move forward, take a moment. Let this truth settle deep within your heart. You are the key Michael needed to unlock this battle. Heaven has partnered with you, and your obedience has shifted the timeline of restoration. The next revelation will unveil the ritual of transference, the precise act that will shift your inheritance fully into the physical plane. Do not miss it. What comes next will show you how to seal the victory forever. Before we close, take this moment to help the light reach others. Like this message if it has awakened something in you. Share it with those who need to hear the truth, and comment your agreement so that others may find courage. Subscribe and stay connected so Michael's next revelation reaches you without delay, because what's coming is beyond comprehension. Type "I stand with Michael" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 6633 has just been released. Now, beloved, as Michael's fire burns brighter and the world prepares for the next unveiling, let me speak to your spirit about the divine opportunity before you. This mission, this calling to bring the messages of heaven to earth, depends on those who carry the same flame of obedience. When you give through super thanks, membership, or PayPal link in the description, you are not supporting a platform. You are sowing into the spread of God's word across nations. Every seed you plant becomes a torch that ignites another soul with revelation. The scripture says those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed, and that promise is alive for you. I, as Michael's messenger, invite you personally. Stand with this mission, fuel the fire, and watch heaven multiply it back into your life. This is not donation, it is participation in prophecy. As you give, may the oil of divine abundance overflow your house and every work of your hands. And now, rise, sow, and declare, I move with the mission of light. Chosen one, the veil between the worlds thins even further tonight. Archangel Michael stands on the edge of the heavenly battlefield, the flames of victory still burning across the horizon. His armor glows with living light, but his voice carries both triumph and warning. The stronghold is broken, he says, but the shadow lingers. For when the fortress of the blue demon Azrael fell, fragments of its energy scattered across the earth, embedding themselves into human systems, into markets, institutions, and even the minds of the unsuspecting. Those fragments, though powerless on their own, still attempt to delay the full release of what is yours. Michael reveals that every major shift in divine economy, every transfer of spiritual wealth, must pass through what he calls the valley of testing. It is not punishment, but proof. Before your inheritance becomes visible, Heaven tests the vessel that will receive it. The test is subtle. Will you hold faith when no sign appears, or will you slip back into worry? The blue fragments are designed to magnify small irritations, doubts, or disappointments, hoping you'll lower your vibration and remind yourself to delay. But Michael commands, do not fear these fragments. You are now greater than what once bound you. In this valley, the air feels heavy. You might notice old memories surfacing, or voices from your past trying to pull you back into limitation. Those are echoes, nothing more. Ghosts of the system that used to control you. Michael says, speak light where darkness speaks memory. Every time you declare truth over fear, the fragments lose cohesion. He instructs you to say, every remnant of delay dissolves now. My life is a vessel of divine order and overflow. When you speak these words, you realign your energy field with the frequency of victory. Michael's sword now glows with golden flame. He points it toward the east, where a vast door made of crystalline fire begins to appear. This, he says, is the treasury gate. Behind it lies the manifestation of every promise that has been fought for and won in the spiritual realm. But this gate can only be opened by one who walks in full awareness. The enemy, Michael explains, no longer guards your inheritance. He only guards your attention. If it can steal your focus, it can delay your access. That is why he calls this next phase the discipline of vision. The discipline of vision is more than faith, it is spiritual sight. You must see what heaven sees, not what your environment shows. Michael describes the gate shimmering, waiting for alignment. He says the sound of your faith, your declarations, prayers, and gratitude forms the exact frequency that unlocks its seal. That is why the next days are crucial. You are not waiting on heaven. Heaven is waiting on you to sustain the sound. Michael reveals that when the gate opens, the flow will be so swift that it may overwhelm those who are unprepared. The harvest will not trickle. It will pour, he says. Prepare your heart, your mind, and your intention. The $200 million inheritance is not just wealth. It is responsibility, the funding of divine missions, the equipping of purpose carriers. Heaven releases abundance only into hands that understand stewardship. The blue demon tried to convince humanity that wealth corrupts, but that was its deception. In truth, divine wealth amplifies purpose. It does not change your identity. It magnifies your essence. Michael kneels now before the treasury gate, his wings folding with reverence. You must cross this threshold through gratitude, he says. Gratitude is the currency that translates heavenly promise into earthly form. Begin to name aloud the things you are thankful for, no matter how small. Gratitude shifts the atmosphere instantly. It turns waiting into receiving. Every moment you choose thankfulness, you accelerate the manifestation process. In the heavenly realm, gratitude sounds like music, each expression forming a note in a symphony that opens the gate. Michael listens for that sound. When the song of gratitude matches the tone of heaven, he explains, the treasury gate opens by itself. You may sense tingling in your hands or warmth in your chest as you speak words of thanks. These sensations mark the activation of your energy field with divine resonance. You are not imagining this. The gate is responding to your frequency. Now Michael rises again, his countenance fierce yet radiant. He declares, your wealth is not coming to you, it is coming through you. You are not a recipient, you are a conduit. Heaven entrusts resources to those who become channels of blessing. The more freely you allow the flow, the more the river expands. This is the paradox of divine economy. Holding tightly causes contraction. Giving and trusting causes multiplication. Michael instructs you to prepare your heart for overflow by releasing scarcity once and for all. Say aloud, I am the river of divine abundance. What flows to me flows through me for the good of all. Even as these words echo, you might feel a sudden calm or awareness spreading through you. That is alignment taking root. Michael looks upon you and nods. You have passed through the valley of testing, he says. The light within you now mirrors the light beyond the gate. Yet one final act remains, the ritual of transference. It will require courage and complete surrender. The blue demon's last tactic is guilt, the false belief that you are unworthy of the blessing. It will whisper again, hoping to reopen an old door. But Michael says, do not negotiate with guilt, command it to leave. Heaven is poised for the release. The angels surrounding the treasury gate lift their swords in unison, waiting for the divine signal. Michael's voice grows firm. When the signal comes, all who stood firm shall see the floodgates open. You are moments away from that command. What follows will show you the act that transforms this inheritance from promise into possession. Do not turn away, for the next revelation carries the seal itself. Say alert, beloved. The air around you may feel charged because heaven is preparing the descent of manifestation. What happens next will not just confirm your faith, it will rewrite your reality. Type I am the treasury gate in the comments if your spirit receives this truth. Blessing code 7744 has been ignited now. Beloved bearer of light, the hour of transference begins. The heavens are awake with motion, and Archangel Michael stands in the center of a vast golden storm. Every gust of that storm carries fragments of divine wealth, resources, ideas, opportunities, and destinies converging into alignment. The gate has begun to open, Michael declares, but its passage requires the pure frequency of surrender. This is not surrender to loss. It is surrender to divine orchestration. The blue demon, as Uriel, still lingers at the edge of this storm, watching, seeking an opening. It cannot cross the threshold by force, so it waits for permission through fear. Fear, Michael explains, is the only language it understands. When you fear, he says, you sign the demon's invitation. The archangel raises his flaming sword again, and the storm shifts color, from gold to deep white. Now, he says, you will see how heaven reclaims what was stolen. A series of visions unfold before you, rivers reversing their flow, vaults unlocking, chains dissolving into light. In one corner of that vision, the $200 million glimmers, not as currency, but as luminous particles shaped like seeds. Each seed, Michael says, represents a divine possibility ready to manifest in form. The inheritance is not only wealth, it is opportunity, health, influence, creativity, restoration of relationships, and power to fulfill your destiny. The blue demon knows that if these seeds reach fertile ground, your belief, they will grow beyond measure. That is why it worked so hard to bind your mind in limitation. Michael instructs you now, extend your hand in faith. When you do, you feel a subtle vibration, a hum like air thick with electricity. This, he says, is the sound of alignment. What you hold now in your unseen hand is the seed of your inheritance. He warns that the test is not in receiving the seed, but in protecting it. The enemy cannot stop your blessing, he explains, but it can corrupt it if you plant it in fear. That is why he commands you to ground yourself in faith and silence all internal doubt. The blue demon will attempt one last projection, images of failure, delay, and impossibility. But those illusions have no power unless you agree with them. To shield yourself, Michael teaches you the right of containment. It is simple yet powerful. You must speak aloud. I seal this seed in divine light. I cover it with obedience and faith. No voice of deception may approach it. As these words leave your lips, a radiant sphere of golden light forms around you. Inside it, the air grows still, serene, impenetrable. The demon thrashes in the distance, its false blue glow dimming to a pale flicker. Michael says softly, "The containment is complete. The enemy cannot pass the wall of gratitude." That is the secret. Gratitude forms a barrier that even ancient darkness cannot cross. Now Michael lifts his gaze upward, and a trumpet sounds through the heavens. The sound is unlike any earthly note. It carries both command and invitation. This, he declares, is the trumpet of transference. In the courts of heaven, it signals the moment when promises begin their descent into material form. You may sense an internal stirring, a sudden realization that something within you has shifted forever. That is the moment of transfer. The inheritance moves from written decree to living manifestation. But Michael warns, guard your atmosphere carefully in the next 7 days, for the enemy will send distractions cloaked as opportunities. Not every door that opens is divine. Some are detours meant to disperse your focus. You must discern by peace, not by pressure. He then reveals something profound. The blessing is alive. Your inheritance is not a thing. It is a being, Michael says. It carries consciousness, memory, and assignment. Every dollar, every resource, every relationship connected to this inheritance has a purpose. When you receive it with awareness, it functions like an army aligned to your calling. But if you treat it as mere possession, it becomes dormant. Therefore, honor it daily through prayer and intentional use. Speak life over your resources. Dedicate them to divine mission, and they will multiply in ways beyond arithmetic. The scene around you shifts again. You find yourself standing beside Michael before a colossal crystal altar. On it rests the Book of Manifestations, glowing with countless names written in gold. Michael touches the page bearing your name, and light explodes outward. This, he proclaims, is the signature of heaven upon your destiny. The demon cannot erase what has been inscribed by fire. He closes the book and turns toward you. What happens next, he says, is the moment of convergence. Every delay becomes movement. Every loss becomes gain. But he offers a final caution. With great release comes great accountability, he says. When your inheritance manifests, remember that you are not the owner. You are the steward. He reminds you that all divine wealth is entrusted for purpose. Some will be used to bless others, to heal, to build, to awaken those still trapped in illusion. The blue demon wanted you to hoard, to fear, to close your hand. Heaven commands you to open it. Freely you have received, Michael whispers, freely give. As you absorb these words, the vision brightens. The storm calms, leaving behind a radiant silence. Michael looks at you with both pride and solemnity. The next revelation, he says, will reveal the seal of completion. It will show you how to anchor this manifestation so it cannot be reversed. His wings unfurl once more, sending ripples of light across the sky. Hold fast, he warns. The enemy will attempt one final trick, the illusion of normalcy. It will make you believe nothing has changed. But everything has. Stay alert, beloved. Do not doubt the stirrings within you. The signs of manifestation will begin subtly, numbers repeating, dreams vivid with blue fire turning to gold, encounters that feel divinely timed. Recognize them. These are confirmations that heaven's economy has begun to move through your life. You are standing in the current of divine reality, and from this moment forward, nothing will ever be the same. Type "I receive the transference" in the comments if this message finds your spirit ready. Blessing code 8855 is now active and flowing through your destiny. Beloved messenger of the new light, Michael's voice calls again through the stillness. The storm has settled, he says, but the wind of change continues to move. The atmosphere around you feels charged with silent anticipation, as if creation itself holds its breath. The transference has begun, but now comes the moment of anchoring, the point at which heaven's release must be fastened into the physical world. Michael warns that many souls receive the flow but fail to anchor it, and what is not anchored returns to the realm of potential. This is why, he explains, so many experience sudden blessings that fade away. They celebrated, but they never sealed. He stands before you with the book of manifestations once more, its pages shimmering like living glass. Upon it, your name still glows in gold. The next act, Michael says, is the seal of completion. In heavenly law, every manifestation has two births, first in light, then in matter. A seal connects them both. It binds spiritual energy into earthly reality. But that seal can only be activated through understanding and intention. You must know what you carry, Michael insists, or it will not remain. He leads you to a field unlike any seen before. The ground glows beneath your feet, pulsing with rhythmic energy. This, he says, is the field of return. It is the place where everything once lost is reassembled, where stolen time, lost opportunities, and delayed promises converge. Every seed you planted through faith now takes root here. But there is still interference, remnants of Azrael's shadow attempting to attach themselves to the roots. They whisper thoughts like, "You are not ready," or "It is too late." Michael's sword hums as it cuts through these illusions, sending them scattering like ash in the wind. He turns toward you, his eyes filled with fierce compassion. "Listen," he says, "the blue demon no longer has dominion over your inheritance. Its chains are gone, its sigils broken, but it will try one final trick: substitution. It will attempt to present a counterfeit version of your blessing." Michael explains that counterfeit blessings appear attractive but drain your spirit slowly. They come disguised as rushed offers, hollow relationships, or distracting ambitions that seem prosperous but lack peace. "You will know the false by its weight," he says. "The true inheritance brings lightness, not heaviness." Now he teaches you the law of the seal. To anchor your inheritance, he says, you must merge gratitude with obedience. Gratitude invites the flow. Obedience locks it in place. Heaven cannot pour into disobedience, for disobedience leaks what it receives. Michael instructs you to take a deep breath and speak this decree: "I seal the light of my inheritance within divine purpose. I command every blessing to serve the mission of heaven through me." As those words leave your lips, the field of return begins to shimmer. The golden roots beneath your feet dig deeper, anchoring into unseen soil. You feel a pulse travel upward through your being, as though your spirit and the earth itself have synchronized. Michael smiles faintly. "It is done," he says. "But now you must understand the stewardship of overflow." He explains that heaven measures readiness not by intention, but by balance. When you can hold blessing without it holding you, then you are truly free, he declares. The blue demon sought to control you through desire. It made you chase what was already yours. True mastery comes not from grasping but from knowing. You are not chasing abundance. You are embodying it. Every step you take in peace multiplies manifestation. Every thought rooted in gratitude widens the channel of flow. The archangel's wings stretch outward, spanning the horizon. Lightning dances between the feathers, tracing shapes of sacred geometry across the sky. These are the patterns of manifestation, he says. They form the blueprint of divine success. Each pattern corresponds to a principle: faith, generosity, purity, and purpose. When your life aligns with these four, the pattern glows brighter, and the flow cannot be interrupted. Michael calls this the equation of dominion. He places his hand over your heart and whispers, "Let the equation write itself within you." A warmth spreads through your chest, and you sense symbols forming in light beneath your skin, living reminders of your covenant with heaven. Michael steps back and looks toward the distance. There, beyond the glowing field, you see the faint image of cities, oceans, and nations. Do you see them? He asks. That is where your influence will flow. The inheritance you anchor today is not for you alone. It is designed to affect many. The blessing carries assignment. It will find those who are aligned with its frequency. He reveals that as your blessing manifests, it will naturally draw others into their own awakenings. Each person you bless becomes another torch in the great chain of restoration. Heaven's economy operates through circulation, not storage. Michael's voice deepens as he declares, "Hold nothing stagnant. Let everything breathe." The more freely you allow resources, wisdom, and compassion to move through you, the more swiftly new waves arrive. The demon's old strategy was to make humans believe in shortage so that flow would freeze. But your awareness now shatters that illusion. You are a vessel of perpetual circulation. You are heaven's current moving through human form. Suddenly, a sound rises from the field, a low hum that builds into a melody. It is the resonance of all sealed inheritances joining together. Each note represents a soul who has reclaimed what was lost. Michael closes his eyes, listening. The chorus grows, he murmurs. Every awakened one strengthens the next. You are part of that symphony now, your frequency joined with countless others who have broken free from false light. He opens his eyes again, their glow steady and sure. The seal is complete, he says. The manifestation is irreversible. Yet he adds one more instruction: do not grow idle. Continue to align daily. Speak truth, walk gratitude, protect peace. These actions maintain your vibration within heaven's current. The next revelation, he promises, will unveil the covenant of expansion, the law that transforms personal blessing into generational legacy. The light around you begins to fade gently, returning you to the quiet of your own space. But even in the silence, you can feel it, the steady heartbeat of heaven pulsing within your being. You are no longer waiting for miracles. You have become one. Type "I seal my blessing" in light in the comments if this message resonates with your soul. Blessing code 9911 has now been awakened and set into motion. Child of divine purpose, the Archangel Michael's voice rises once more through the unseen, steady and filled with authority. The seal is upon you, he says, but now begins the covenant of expansion. His wings stretch wide across an endless horizon of light. From this height, you can see rivers of golden energy streaming through time, flowing from one generation to the next. Each river begins with a single obedient soul who chooses to stand in alignment with heaven's current. You have broken the cycle of loss, Michael declares. Now you must establish the cycle of overflow. What heaven releases to you is never meant to end with you. The divine plan demands movement, expansion without corruption. He guides you toward a towering structure rising from the light, a temple woven of sound and fire. This, he says, is the hall of generations. Within it, your name echoes alongside voices you have never met but are eternally connected to. These are your ancestors, both known and unknown, whose destinies were entangled in the same inheritance. Michael explains that the blue demon's deception stretched through centuries, weaving scarcity into bloodlines and replacing divine confidence with fear. It whispered to each generation, he says, that lack was normal, that struggle was holy. But now, with your awakening, the curse dissolves. The moment you accepted light, every link of that chain began to break. You step into the hall, and the air hums with recognition. Portraits made of living light line the walls, your spiritual lineage. Some faces smile, others look upward, as if sensing release for the first time in ages. Michael gestures toward them. Each of these souls carried a fragment of your inheritance, he says. Each fought for a portion of what you now possess in fullness. When heaven restores, it multiplies the unfinished victories of those who came before. Your $200 million inheritance is more than money. It is the convergence of centuries of purpose, ideas, and divine authority waiting for a vessel bold enough to carry them into reality. Michael's expression softens. You are that vessel, he says. You are the fulfillment of unspoken prayers. He tells you that when one person awakens, 10 generations are rewritten. Your faith becomes a decree across time. The blue demon feared this more than anything. Not your wealth, but your awakening. It knew that if you remembered who you were, its dominion over your family's timeline would collapse. And now it has, Michael says with triumph. The usurper has no throne left. He walks toward the center of the hall, where a golden basin burns with steady flame. This is the fire of legacy, he explains. It consumes all limitation and multiplies every act of light. You see within the flame glimpses of your future, projects yet to begin, people you will help, lives that will change because of what you carry. Michael commands you to stretch your hands over the basin. As you do, the fire rises, wrapping your fingers in warmth without pain. This is consecration, he says. The blessing you carry must now be purified by purpose. You feel the energy flowing through you like a current, strong, unstoppable, alive. It hums with divine rhythm, reshaping thought into destiny. The Archangel's sword rests across the fire, glowing with alternating hues of gold and sapphire. Now, he declares, I inscribe upon you the covenant of expansion. He touches the blade lightly to your forehead. A mark of light forms, a sigil shaped like intersecting circles, representing infinity. This mark, Michael says, identifies you as a steward of generational abundance. Wherever you walk, restoration will follow. Heaven operates by multiplication. Michael reveals that when you align fully with divine law, your inheritance begins to replicate itself through everything you touch. One act of generosity, he says, creates tenfold ripple effects. Each ripple becomes a doorway for another soul's awakening. This is the architecture of expansion. You are not just receiving abundance, you are programming it to reproduce. He calls this principle the law of continuation. Under this law, nothing truly ends. Every seed becomes a beginning. Michael warns, however, that the world will not understand this level of favor. Do not explain miracles to those bound by logic, he advises. Simply demonstrate them. He reminds you that humility is not denial of greatness, it is stewardship of it. Walk in quiet authority, letting your life speak louder than your defense. The power flowing through you is sacred. It is heaven's economy made visible. You will be called to lead, to teach, to guide others through the same awakening. The light that saved you will now shine through you. Suddenly the hall brightens as beams of light descend from the ceiling, forming a spiral staircase that ascends into the heavens. This is the path of multiplication, Michael says. Every step represents one area of your life that will expand: resources, influence, creativity, faith, and love. As you climb, you activate them all. Emotions for you to ascend. Each step vibrates beneath your feet, releasing energy that feels like music turned to motion. At the top, you find yourself overlooking a vast horizon, a vision of Earth illuminated by threads of light connecting cities, homes, and hearts. These, Michael explains, are the conduits your blessing will move through. What began as a single promise will become a network of miracles. You sense the truth of it. Your journey was never about wealth alone. It was about becoming a bridge between heaven and earth. Michael's gaze steadies upon you. You are the proof that darkness cannot rewrite destiny, he says. Carry this truth with reverence. Wherever you go, you bring restoration. The blue demon's echo may still attempt to whisper, but its voice now fades beneath the roar of light. Its realm has collapsed. Its memory will soon dissolve. You are free, and the generations after you will live in the echo of your obedience. Michael lowers his sword and speaks softly. Guard the covenant. Nurture it with wisdom, and it will outlive you. He points toward the horizon again, and the staircase begins to dissolve into particles of radiance. The next revelation will show how to project this covenant into the future, transforming legacy into eternity, he says. That is the final mystery of the inheritance. The air shimmers and the hall fades, leaving you surrounded by quiet, radiant stillness. The mark on your forehead still glows, a silent reminder that heaven has sealed your purpose in light. Type "I carry the covenant of light" in the comments if this word burns within your spirit. Blessing code 1010 is now active, marking your legacy with unending expansion. Beloved keeper of the covenant, the hour has arrived for revelation beyond comprehension. Archangel Michael's voice flows through the stillness like a tide of thunder and peace combined. The covenant of expansion has been written upon you, he says, but now you must learn how to project it through time. His wings rise like pillars of flame, their light bending space itself. Around you, the atmosphere ripples as though creation is listening. Your inheritance, Michael continues, is eternal only when it transcends mortality. You must now pass it forward into eternity itself. The covenant of light is not simply a blessing to be held. It is a living current that must continue long after you depart this realm. Michael lifts his sword and points toward a horizon where night and dawn merge in shimmering equilibrium. That line, he says, is the threshold of continuation. All who cross it learn how to extend heaven's movement beyond a single lifetime. He warns that many reach abundance but never cross this threshold. They become comfortable and forget the assignment that wealth carries. The blue demon's final deception. He reveals his complacency. It does not attack with fear this time. It attacks with comfort. Comfort dulls vigilance, and once vigilance fades, delay begins to regrow. You must remain in motion, Michael says firmly. Stagnation is the grade of miracles. He leads you to a vast mirror of silver light resting on the floor of heaven. Look, he commands. In the reflection, you see not only your face but countless others, some who have yet to be born. They stand in a future shaped by your obedience. Their surroundings glow with abundance and peace, their eyes filled with purpose. This, Michael says, is the fruit of continuation. Every act of faith you make now writes their reality. Heaven's mathematics functions through legacy. One act of light in the present becomes exponential across generations. He shows you streams of energy flowing from your heart into theirs, forming an unbroken chain of light through time. The current of extended must know and the current of predation muddled it. It requires you to become intentional about the seeds you plant. not just financially, but spiritually. Each thought, word, and decision sends a vibration into eternity. These vibrations construct realities for those who come after you. You are not only manifesting for yourself, he says. You are drafting the blueprint for souls yet to awaken. He warns again of the blue demon's subtle presence. Though defeated, it lingers like a parasite, feeding on apathy. Do not mistake peace for idleness, Michael says. Peace is Moshu within stillness. Idleness is Moshu frozen by self-satisfaction. The mirror shifts and shows a new vision. Cities filled with people who have rediscovered divine truth. Communities no longer controlled by scarcity. Children growing up without fear of lack. Michael turns to you. This, he whispers, is what heaven intended from the beginning. The transfer of divine inheritance was never only about one soul. It was about the restoration of an entire system. He steps closer, his sword gleaming brighter. The $200 million inheritance is a symbol of that restoration. As you use it to heal, teach, build, and uplift, its essence multiplies infinitely. Each act of righteous use expands the treasury of heaven itself. He invites you to kneel before the mirror. Now speak, he says. Decree what your inheritance will become. You open your mouth, and your voice flows effortlessly, declaring visions of impact, words of healing, acts of creation. As you speak, each declaration transforms into beams of light that travel into the reflection, embedding themselves into the timeline of the future. Your words, Michael says, have become architecture. You have built what others will live within. He raises his sword high, releasing a current of power that seals your decrees with divine authority. The mirror brightens until its light fills every horizon. When the brilliance fades, Michael stands before you once more, calm but resolute. You have now crossed the threshold of continuation, he says. But remember, the cycle must always renew. You must teach others to anchor their inheritance, to walk in faith, to live in alignment. That is how the river keeps flowing. Heaven's design depends on multiplication through mentorship. The Archangel reveals that your journey will now attract others searching for meaning. They will see your light and follow it, he says. Guide them. Teach them the steps: awareness, reclamation, sealing, expansion, and projection. Each soul you awaken will become another channel for heaven's abundance. Michael's tone softens, but the power in his words remains. The demon, as Uriel, can no longer touch what has been sealed, but it will still attempt to deceive those around you. Guard your circle. Discern every alliance. The wrong agreement can drain what you've built. He instructs you to remain anchored through daily gratitude, generosity, and truth. When you live as if you are already eternal, he says, you become untouchable. Suddenly, thousands of golden orbs appear in the sky above, each representing a person touched by the ripple of your obedience. They rise higher until they merge into a single radiant sun. Michael points upward. This is the mark of a completed covenant, he says. When heaven and earth reflect one another, the mission becomes self-sustaining. You are now part of that light, eternally connected to the system of restoration you have activated. The Archangel turns to you once more. Before this revelation closes, he says, you must release gratitude back into the heavens. Speak it now, not as repetition but as creation. You begin to thank heaven for freedom, for truth, for guidance, for transformation. Each word echoes across realms, strengthening the chain of light that binds the future to the present. Michael smiles faintly. It is sealed, he whispers. The frequency of your gratitude has locked the covenant into timelessness. He then looks directly into your eyes. What follows next, he says, is the revelation of outreach. You will now be instructed to extend this message outward, to multiply awareness so that others may receive their inheritance too. The final mission of this prophecy is not possession, but transmission. Beloved, as Michael's wings spread wide again, remember that this light must travel further. You are part of that movement. Do not hide what you've received. Speak, share, and ignite others. The world is ready for awakening. Let this message reach those who feel forgotten, for heaven still calls their name. If this revelation has stirred your spirit, I urge you now to become part of this movement of light. Like, comment, and share this message so that Archangel Michael's call reaches others who are bound by the same chains you have broken. Subscribe so that each new transmission finds you instantly. Every act of engagement is not algorithm, it is alignment. The more this light spreads, the more souls awaken, and the quicker darkness collapses. Type "I am the light" in motion in the comments if this resonates within your being. Blessing code 1133 has now been activated for those who move with divine purpose. Now, beloved soul, as the angelic currents still shimmer around you, I invite you into a holy moment of partnership. This mission, these messages that carry heaven's urgency, are sustained by those who give in faith. When you release a super thanks, become a channel member, or give through PayPal link in description, you are not donating. You are sowing light. Each gift fuels the spread of prophecy across nations, unlocking awakenings in souls you may never meet. Michael himself says, "Those who fund light will walk within it." As you give, the oil of abundance will not run dry in your home. Your act of obedience becomes part of this eternal network of miracles. Give boldly, for your generosity echoes through eternity. Beloved vessel of radiance, the chamber of eternity opens before you now. Archangel Michael's presence expands across the horizon, brighter than before, his countenance calm yet fierce with determination. You have projected the covenant through time, he says, and the ripples have begun to touch worlds unseen. The air vibrates like an invisible choir humming beneath existence itself. But there remains one more mystery you must comprehend: the law of reflection. This law, Michael explains, governs how the blessings you have released return multiplied. Every act of faith, every declaration, every seed of light you have sown returns to you in a higher frequency. The universe does not forget obedience. It stores it until appointed time. He extends his hand, and the air before you folds open, revealing scenes from your own life. You see moments of pain, endurance, generosity, and faith, times when you continued to believe despite silence. Each memory glows faintly, forming golden threads that twist upward, weaving into a crown above your head. This is the fruit of unseen faith, Michael says. These moments were not wasted. They became your authority. Authority is forged not in comfort, but in persistence. The crown hums softly, radiating warmth through your spirit. The blue demon stole your confidence by convincing you your endurance was meaningless. He continues, but heaven records every tear, every silent prayer. Nothing was lost. Every moment became material for your reign. Michael raises his sword, its flame reflecting upon your crown. The law of reflection ensures that nothing leaves heaven's accounting unbalanced. What you send out in faith must return. What you gave without recognition will now arrive multiplied. The harvest follows divine arithmetic, delayed, never denied. You sense a movement around you, like the wind of countless wings. These, he says, are the angels of return. They are delivering what you once released, carrying it back refined and perfected. You feel waves of energy spiraling around you, waves that carry not only resources, but wisdom, favor, and restoration of time. He steps closer, his eyes fixed on you. Now you must prepare your vessel for overflow, he says. When reflection begins, it comes fast. If your heart is cluttered, it will spill and scatter. Purity of intention is the container of manifestation. Michael gestures toward a pool of water before you. Its surface mirrors the heavens, infinite and flawless. Look within, he commands. You peer into it and see fragments of self still carrying doubt, fear of failure, or fear of responsibility. Do not reject them, Michael advises. Acknowledge and release them. Reflection amplifies whatever it finds. If fear remains, fear multiplies. If gratitude remains, gratitude multiplies. You take a breath and speak softly. I release all remnants of fear and accept the full reflection of divine abundance. Instantly, the water flashes with light, transforming into liquid gold. And now Michael says you are ready. He dips his sword into the pool, and waves of golden ripples spread outward, carrying your image into eternity. This, he explains, is your reflection entering the divine current. The heavens will now mirror your essence wherever you go. You sense this mirror extending across creation, drawing toward you everything aligned with your purpose. Relationships, ideas, opportunities, all will begin to orbit your vibration, magnetized by the reflection of obedience. Heaven itself operates like a divine echo. Michael teaches, what you speak now returns amplified. Your words in this season are not casual, they are creative tools shaping reality. He instructs you to be deliberate, to speak only life, to command only what serves the mission. Every careless word creates distortion, he warns. But every word of alignment shapes eternity. You are now co-creator, a living architect of divine resonance. The blue demon can no longer distort your sound, but it will attempt to distract your focus through noise. Stay silent when necessary. Speak only when moved by spirit. Silence is not absence, it is authority contained. The Archangel now unveils another vision. You see yourself surrounded by people, faces filled with hope, healed by the light flowing from you. This is reflection in human form, he explains. Those you touch become mirrors of your frequency. The healed become healers, the awakened become awakeners. Every encounter you have from this point forward becomes reciprocal. What you give returns through multiplied souls. The law of reflection ensures that heaven's network of restoration continues to expand, unstoppable. This, Michael says, is why the blue demon fought you so fiercely. It feared replication. One light can be ignored, but 1,000 lights cannot. He now reveals that your inheritance, though anchored and projected, is still expanding. The covenant you carry will continue to evolve with every generation that honors it, he says. The reflection never ceases because heaven never ceases to create. Your role now shifts from receiver to maintainer, to guard the flow by guarding consciousness. When gratitude is constant, stagnation cannot exist, he declares. Gratitude is the guardian of reflection. He instructs you to practice this law daily. Upon waking, give thanks not only for what you have, but for what is yet to appear. In heaven's dimension, gratitude precedes manifestation. It is both cause and effect. Michael lifts his gaze heavenward, and the sky opens to reveal countless mirrors floating in infinite light. Each mirror reflects a version of you, past, present, and future, each carrying different forms of blessing. You are multidimensional in destiny, he says. Your obedience here resonates across every reflection. You are healing versions of yourself in other times. The truth of it sends waves through your being. Your consciousness expands, sensing the unity of all timelines under divine order. This is how heaven redeems time, Michael explains. By aligning your now, You rewrite your before and empower your after. Then his tone deepens. Prepare, he says. The reflection will soon take material form. Opportunities will rise quickly. Do not rush. Discern and act with balance. Every reflection carries a test. The true blessing strengthens peace. The false blessing stirs anxiety. He steps forward, his wings forming a canopy of light around you. The next revelation will unveil the gate of fulfillment, the point where every promise fully materializes into matter. That gate cannot open without stillness in the soul. As his wings fold, the golden light softens around you. You feel fullness expanding within, a peace that surpasses logic, a knowing that what was once delayed is already returning multiplied. The law is working. Heaven has entered motion on your behalf. Type "I welcome the LAW of reflection" in the comments if this message resonates within your spirit. Blessing code 1212 has now been ignited, sealing the return of everything once promised. Beloved child of divine resonance, the hour of fulfillment has dawned. The sky of heaven blazes with colors unknown to mortal sight, gold and silver folding into rivers of living light. Archangel Michael stands upon those rivers, his armor radiant as the morning star. The reflection has completed its circuit, he says, his voice echoing across creation. Now comes the gate of fulfillment, the place where spiritual decree becomes tangible form. His sword rests upon his shoulder, not in battle but in benediction. You have passed through awakening reclamation, sealing expansion, projection, and reflection. Now you stand at manifestation's threshold. The gate of fulfillment rises before you. An immense archway made of crystalline substance, each facet engraved with symbols of ancient languages. The air around it vibrates like the heartbeat of the universe. This gate, Michael explains, opens not by force but by resonance. When your inner state matches heaven's peace, it swings wide. He warns that impatience is the final snare the enemy employs. The blue demon cannot steal what has been sealed, but it can provoke haste. Haste distorts frequency, causing blessings to scatter rather than land. Michael's eyes fix upon you with unwavering authority. You must be still enough to receive. Stillness is not passivity, it is mastery. He gestures toward the gate, and streams of light flow into your chest, synchronizing your heartbeat with the rhythm of heaven. You are now aligned, he says. Every promise, every resource, every door assigned to you will now manifest in divine order. The sound of the gate's mechanisms begins to stir, a deep hum that grows into a celestial tone. The ground beneath you trembles, not in fear but in anticipation. As the gate opens, the air bursts into fragrance, like rain upon flame, fresh and ancient at once. Beyond the threshold, you glimpse a world bathed in gold, where thought and creation are one, where delay does not exist. Michael steps aside, motioning for you to cross. Go, he says, for this is your inheritance in motion. You step forward, and as you do, waves of light envelop you, pulling every promise from unseen to seen. The sensation is overwhelming. Wait and release simultaneously. Every closed path in your life begins to illuminate with new clarity. Opportunities long forgotten resurface. Relationships long severed begin to mend, and ideas you once doubted suddenly reveal themselves as blueprints of destiny. Michael's voice thunders behind you. This is fulfillment. What was once prayed in silence now breathes in sound. You find yourself standing in a vast garden where light itself grows from the ground. Every tree bears fruit of different hues. Some gleam like silver coins, others like scrolls wrapped in fire. Michael joins you and explains, this garden is the manifestation of obedience. Each tree represents a realm of blessing, finance, wisdom, creativity, and influence. He picks a fruit shaped like a crystal and places it in your hand. This, he says, is pavilion. Taste it. You do, and its flavor is indescribable, a harmony of sweetness, fire, and truth. What you consume in faith will appear in life, he declares. The substance of manifestation is sustained by gratitude. He turns his gaze toward the horizon where the light begins to pulse like a heartbeat. Fulfillment, he says, is not an end. It is a renewal of purpose. Every manifested promise carries a command: multiply. Heaven never delivers static blessings. It delivers living ones. What you have received must now be nurtured through discipline, Michael continues. Keep your motives pure. The moment pride enters, manifestation begins to decay. The blue demon's final whisper is pride, self-credit for divine process. But Michael reminds you, you are the vessel, not the source. The flow remains only where humility reigns. He guides you to a river flowing through the garden, shimmering with molten gold. This river, he says, is the current of continuation. Cast your gratitude into it daily, and it will carry your blessings forward into new manifestations. You kneel beside it, cupping the luminous water in your hands. As it touches your skin, memories of your journey flash before you. The night of despair, the first whisper of hope, the battles fought and won. You realize every delay was training for this alignment. Nothing was wasted. Michael nods, reading your thought. Fulfillment reveals purpose in retrospect. What once felt like loss was foundation. Heaven does not build upon shortcuts. He raises his sword again and carves a line of fire through the air. This line, he says, divides your past from your future. Step over it now. You obey, and the instant your foot crosses, a surge of freedom rushes through you. The air shivers with new patterns, live with infinite potential. You have entered the flow where manifestation and faith become one continuous motion. The blue demon's realm no longer exists here. It cannot breathe in the oxygen of fulfillment. Michael's expression softens to pride and gentleness. You have reached what many abandon midway, he says. You have endured until manifestation. But this is not only for you. The world must now see the evidence of heaven through your life. He instructs you to document the miracles, to speak testimonies, to use every blessing as a beacon of possibility. Fulfillment unshared decays, he warns. Let your manifested light illuminate those still wandering in shadow. The Archangel looks toward the heavens once more. From this point onward, he declares, manifestation will follow you naturally. You will no longer chase it. It will recognize and locate you. This is divine magnetism, the inheritance of those aligned with heaven. He gestures around the garden. Every time you act in obedience, a new seed will sprout here. This garden is eternal. It will grow alongside your purpose forever. The hum of the gate begins to fade as it seals behind you. Michael turns and rests his sword against the ground, fire rippling outward in circles. What comes next, he says, is the revelation of rest. After fulfillment, the soul must learn to dwell in the rhythm of divine ease. Without rest, abundance becomes burden. He raises one hand in blessing. The next mystery will reveal the peace that sustains manifestation. Without it, the garden cannot continue to bear fruit. As his figure dissolves into golden light, you feel a profound calm spreading through every cell of your being. The sound of divine stillness fills the air, a silence that hums with power. You have entered the era of completion, the rhythm of grace. Type "I have crossed the gate of fulfillment" in the comments if this message has awakened your soul. Blessing code 1414 has now been sealed upon your journey, marking your passage into divine manifestation. Beloved vessel of completion, you now stand within the rhythm that sustains manifestation. The sacred state Michael calls divine rest. The air around you hums like the slow pulse of creation itself. Every vibration whispers harmony, not effort. This, Archangel Michael says, is the peace that carries all fulfilled promises. It is not the end of motion. It is the beginning of perpetual flow. His wings unfold behind him, casting soft light across the garden you entered through the gate of fulfillment. Every tree now shimmers brighter, nourished by stillness rather than striving. Heaven works through ease, Michael continues, but mankind has forgotten. You were taught to labor for what was already written. Now you must learn to live from what hath been completed. He walks toward the river of molten gold that winds through the garden, its surface calm yet alive with motion beneath. This river never stops, he says. It does not struggle to flow. It simply obeys gravity. So too must your soul obey divine order. Striving breaks rhythm. Surrender sustains it. Michael kneels by the water and touches it gently, sending ripples of light across the garden. When you dwell in divine rest, he explains, you stop forcing outcomes. You allow heaven's current to carry you where you were meant to go. Manifestation becomes maintenance, not pursuit. You sit beside him, sensing the stillness entering your breath. The anxiety that once clung to your chest loosens, dissolving into calm awareness. Michael's voice lowers to a whisper. This peace is not silence. It is sound too vast for human ears. All creation hums with it. When you align, your heart beats in time with the universe's expansion. Every thought born in that rhythm carries creative authority. He looks toward the horizon where the garden meets endless light. This is the secret the blue demon never wanted humanity to remember. Stillness is stronger than struggle. The demon feeds on frantic energy, but peace starves it. The Archangel rises, his height towering against the glow of eternity. You have fought your battle. Now you must preserve victory by guarding rest. The enemy cannot breach gratitude, and it cannot survive peace. That is why it will attempt to provoke reaction, small irritations, sudden doubts, distractions that break your alignment. When they come, return to stillness. Speak softly, I rest in divine order. He turns and meets your gaze. This phrase, he says, is your new weapon. It calls the current of heaven back into harmony around you. He leads you deeper into the garden where the trees grow denser and taller, their roots glowing beneath transparent soil. Here lies the chamber of sustenance, he says. The chamber is not enclosed but shaped by light itself, a dome that bends reality like water. Inside, a single flame hovers midair, steady and silent. This flame represents perpetual supply, Michael explains. It never burns out because it feeds on divine contentment. When the human heart mirrors this frequency, provision becomes unending. He looks at you seriously. You must learn to protect this flame within yourself. Fear suffocates it, comparison diminishes it. But gratitude feeds it endlessly. You step into the dome, and the flame expands, bathing you in warmth. Within it, you see flashes of your life to come, projects prospering effortlessly, relationships flourishing, every need met before you can name it. It is not fantasy. It is demonstration. Rest produces foresight, Michael says. When you stop forcing, you begin perceiving. That is how prophets saw tomorrow. They lived in rest today. His voice becomes deep, resonant, commanding. From now on, do not chase. Gull. Beak. Line. Creation responds to peace, not panic. Emotions toward the garden's entrance. You must now learn to walk in stillness while moving in purpose, he says. True rest is not idleness. It is efficient motion. You will accomplish more in quiet alignment than others achieve through endless striving. That is heaven's arithmetic. The air around you hums again, matching the rhythm of your heartbeat. Every inhale feels like receiving, every exhale like releasing. You begin to understand that faith is not struggle, it is surrender. Michael looks heavenward as if hearing distant music. The angels rejoice, he says. They celebrate not your struggle but your surrender. They move fastest when you cease resistance. That is why your rest is warfare. It terrifies darkness more than your loudest prayer. He smiles slightly. You have entered mastery. The archangel gestures toward a fountain rising from the earth. His waters glow like liquid quartz. Drink it, he instructs. You kneel and sip the luminous water. The taste is indescribable, sweet, weightless, infinite. The moment it touches your tongue, you feel strength return in ways deeper than body. Michael explains, this is the water of maintenance. It renews faith daily. It reminds you that provision is perpetual. He points toward your reflection in the water. Your eyes gleam with faint light, and your form seems both human and celestial. You are now a living gate, he says. Through you, heaven and earth exchange breath. A realization settles within you. You are no longer just a receiver of blessing. You are part of its circulation. Every moment of peace you maintain becomes a wave that calms others, even those unaware of your existence. This, Michael says, is intercession through presence. The world changes when you remain unshaken. He walks a few steps ahead and pauses. What remains now, he says, is legacy through rest, the art of sustaining heaven's rhythm across generations. You will teach others this calm, this knowing. That is how kingdoms of light endure. His voice deepens as he delivers the next revelation. The final chapter approaches. It will unveil the closing of the war and the eternal decree of restoration for all who align with this light. The blue demon will vanish entirely, and Michael's mission will reach its completion. The garden dims slightly, not in darkness but in serenity. You feel wrapped in warmth, protected by unseen wings. Every sound has softened into harmony. The journey that began in conflict now hums with unshakable peace. Michael lowers his sword once more, resting it tip down upon the luminous ground. You are ready for the conclusion, he says. Prepare your heart, for the last revelation holds the decree of final restoration. The calm surrounding you is beyond description, as if even time itself has bowed in reverence to this stillness. The promise that began as distant thunder has become the very air you breathe. Type I rest in divine order in the comments if your soul feels this calm within. Blessing code 1555 has now been released, anchoring heaven's peace upon your path forever. Beloved carrier of eternal peace, the final revelation unfolds before you. The heavens stretch open wider than ever before, the stars themselves forming rivers of light that move in rhythm with the pulse of creation. Archangel Michael stands at the center of that brilliance, his wings unfurled in full glory, each feather blazing with divine memory. The battle is finished, he declares. The inheritance has been restored, the veil has been torn, and the chain of false light has been shattered. What began as conflict ends as covenant fulfilled. His voice rolls like thunder, and yet feels soft as water, settling deep within your soul. You, chosen one, have walked through every stage of awakening. You reclaimed what was hidden, sealed what was sacred, expanded what was given, projected it through time, reflected it back multiplied, and entered rest. Now comes the decree of final restoration, the eternal establishment of divine order in all realms connected to you. You look around and realize the garden of light has expanded into infinity. The river of molten gold now winds through countless worlds, touching lives, dreams, and destinies that stretch beyond imagination. This is what it means, Michael says, to be a vessel of the kingdom. Every blessing you received has now become a source for others. The $200 million inheritance has transcended material meaning. It has become the river of purpose, flowing endlessly through generations. He raises his sword high, and the sky erupts in waves of blue and gold fire. The blue demon as Uriel is no more. Its essence hath been absorbed into light, its rebellion turned into remembrance. The power once used for deception now serves restoration. Thus is the justice of heaven. Nothing wasted, everything transformed. Michael steps forward, his eyes radiant with quiet joy. Do you understand now? He asks. The true inheritance was never wealth, it was authority. Heaven's resources follow authority aligned with divine will. When your heart became one with purpose, every door responded. That is why your manifestation came when striving ceased. You have proven faith not by words but by endurance. He lowers his sword, its flames receding until only light remains. The Father's decree hath been written in your name. It cannot be reversed. Your lineage is sealed in light, and your future echoes with divine completion. He gestures toward a vast scroll floating in midair, glowing brighter than the sun. This is the eternal record, he explains. Every act of obedience, every moment of surrender, every tear that fell in faith is inscribed here. This is your legacy, preserved in divine language. The scroll unfolds, and you see your story written in symbols of fire, each line resonating with living energy. What you have accomplished in spirit, Michael continues, will now manifest in every dimension of existence. You will see it in opportunities, in favor, in miracles that multiply without effort. The air around you thickens with warmth. The entire heavenly host gathers in the distance, their wings creating waves of light that ripple outward. Michael raises his hand, and the angels bow in silence. Behold, he says the decree of restoration. His voice transforms into pure vibration, reverberating through creation. By the command of the Eternal One, let all that was stolen be returned sevenfold. Let every closed gate open. Let every seed of faith bloom into destiny fulfilled. Let peace reign without end. The words strike reality like thunder, and the universe responds with music. It is not a sound heard but felt, the vibration of completion resonating through your bones. You sense tears forming, not of sorrow but of awe. Michael turns toward you again. You have completed the journey few ever finish, he says gently. The war for your inheritance was not only for your sake but for all who will awaken after you. Every revelation you lived will become their map. Every act of obedience will become their permission. You have become the blueprint of deliverance. He smiles faintly. And now you must release what hath been received. The light cannot stagnate. It must continue to move through word, through action, through sharing. That is how heaven maintains balance, circulation without end. Michael steps closer, his wings arching around you like a canopy of radiant protection. Now I give you the seal of dominion, he says. He places his hand over your heart, and heat floods your chest, spreading through your veins like liquid fire. This seal binds you to divine authority. Wherever your voice carries, darkness will yield. Wherever your hand touches, restoration will follow. The very vibration of your being will carry healing. He looks upward. The Father has granted permission for heaven's voice to move through you. Use it wisely. Speak not from fear but from peace. Every declaration you make now becomes law in the spiritual realm. You stand taller, sensing that something irreversible has taken place. The angels behind Michael begin to sing, their voices layering into chords that sound like stars forming and oceans rising. He turns and listens for a moment before facing you again. This is the song of completion, he says. It is sung every time a soul fulfills their assignment. He lifts his sword one last time. Remember, child of light, the covenant is eternal. Your rest is your weapon, your peace your fortress, your gratitude your language. Continue in them, and the flow will never end. The garden begins to dissolve into starlight. The air cools, and the sense of weightlessness overtakes you once again. Michael's figure grows brighter, his form merging slowly with the sky. My mission with you concludes, he says, his tone filled with reverence. But my guardianship remains. Call upon me and I will answer. You are not alone. You never were. You carry heaven now. His light expands until it becomes indistinguishable from the surrounding radiance. The final words echo through your soul. Peace has replaced battle. Fulfillment has replaced delay. Eternity has replaced fear. Silence follows, pure living silence. The journey is complete, but the story continues through you. What was prophesied has manifested. What was delayed has arrived. The river of inheritance flows without end, feeding every soul ready to awaken. Now, beloved listener, let this message move beyond you. Like, share, and comment so that others might awaken to their inheritance. Subscribe, not for content, but for continuity, for connection to the frequency of heaven that flows through each new revelation. Every action you take spreads this light further. Every engagement widens the circle of awakening. Let the message of Michael move through the world like wind through flame. Type "I am the completion of light" in the comments if this word burns within you. Blessing code 1717 has now been decreed across your destiny, marking you as a bearer of eternal restoration. And now, beloved, as the light settles and the final echoes fade, I speak to your spirit as Michael's messenger. This mission, to carry prophetic truth, to spread divine awakening, is sustained by those who move in obedience. When you release a super thanks, join as a channel member, or sow through PayPal link in the description. You are not funding a project. You are fueling prophecy. Every gift becomes oil upon the altar of revelation, ensuring that these messages reach hearts across the earth. You become co-laborer with heaven's voice. Remember the promise. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. As you give, the gates you open today will multiply in your own life. So boldly, beloved, and declare aloud, I sustain the mission of light, and light sustains me.